there, it's Dr. Maria Rothenberger from the Miracles Happen Fertility Center at drmariarothenberger.com. I am coming to you for week 17 of this compassion vlog series that I started in the beginning of 2020. It is, as of this recording, spring of 2020, and we are still quarantining, so I am on the floor in my home right now. And I'm going to talk to you about this week's practice. This compassion series is coming from a year of living with more compassion that I absolutely highly recommend that you pick up if compassion is something that you are passionate about. So this week, when I read this quote, I immediately became heartful. This is by Henry David Thoreau, poet. And the quote is, "Could a greater miracle take place than for us to look through each other's eyes for an instant?" Don't you just love that? Think about what it means to look through another person's eyes just for a minute. It's more compassion-inducing than I have other words for. I mean, this is Henry David Thoreau, right? Like, hello. Giant name in the poetry industry. So I love this quote. The theme for this week is awakening the heart of compassion by unlocking the armor of the heart. Now think about that. We often walk around with armor around our heart because we don't want to be vulnerable. Vulnerability is seen as a weakness, and we don't want to have others take advantage of that. What ends up happening is that we become so disengaged and so disconnected from other people that they almost don't seem human to us anymore. So when I was reading through this, I'm not going to read everything, but I think that it's really important to know that disconnect is a real thing. We actually have in our brains what are called mirror neurons, and mirror neurons is our ability to not only just notice like facial expressions and things like that, but to actually feel what another person is feeling. That's where sympathy and empathy come from. And when we disconnect, we have this armor around our heart. We are not able to access those mirror neurons or activate them as much. There's a lot of research on the activation of the heart and how it communicates to the brain more often than the brain communicates with the heart. 4 times as much, by the way. I should just note. You can go to heartmath.com and get more information on the research on that. So the practice for this week is unlocking the armor of the heart. Now, they talk about a specific Tibetan practice called Tonglen, and it is a very, very long meditative practice that I think it's more important for you to look that up. Maybe just Google Tonglen yourself, Tonglen, and look at the practice yourself and see if you'd like to do that. For the purposes of this video, I would just like to help awaken compassion in you by, for the next week, at least once a day, in your interactions with folks. And right now it's difficult because we're quarantining at the time of this recording. We are in quarantine. But if you're not in quarantine, and if you still interact with folks even online, if you can, walk in their shoes for a little bit, metaphorically speaking. So especially, and what came to my mind as I was going to say earlier was, for me, especially people who piss me off. Okay, and I have one person in mind right now whose political views are very different, vastly different from mine. And every time there is an expression of their beliefs and thoughts about the political climate, something in me is stirred up. Now, in this example, what I would do is, and what I do to be able to offer some compassion to this person, is think about their vulnerabilities. Where are they coming from that speaks to their vulnerabilities? Why are they having this opinion? What is potentially their history that helps inform their belief system right now? And then when you think about it, when you think about them as a person, as another human in a connected way, rather than a very disconnected way, with the armor around your heart, when you soften up a little bit, when you loosen that armor a little bit, and you let in the possibility that they are hurting as much as you are, because you're a human being and they're a human being, supposedly. But even if they were an alien, they have feelings, I bet. So if you're able to connect with that part of them, then their belief system, their political views, their whatever is the complete opposite or just different than yours doesn't matter. It doesn't matter as much because you see the common humanity. Now, I should note on here the compassion practice for this week. If you look up Tonglen, and this is very important for the fertility world, they say Tonglen may be inappropriate if you are struggling with trauma-related fear, unrelenting depression, or severe psychological imbalance. Tonglen may then cause emotional flooding or a sense of being stuck. In these situations, seek guidance from a spiritual teacher, therapist, or trusted guide in finding what best helps you move toward healing. So I'm just putting that disclaimer out here too, especially for the fertility world, because as we know, infertility is a traumatic experience. So just make sure that you are taking care of yourself in the best way that you know how. And I would suggest grounding exercises. You could also Google grounding exercises to help if you want to engage in Tonglen. Just for simple exercise though, get in somebody's shoes. Just in your mind, walk in somebody's shoes once a day for the next week and feel that vulnerable place that they are probably experiencing just like you. Okay, I'll see you for week 18. Bye.